Hey guys, this is Rajan, and in this video we're going to see a detailed explanation of this chapter called the last lesson. So I'm going to explain this to you paragraph by paragraph. So without wasting any time, let's get started straight away. Okay, so before we start, I just want to give you guys a simple idea of what this chapter actually talks about. Now this chapter actually talks about the things a boy from France named Little France saw on the day before it was going to be Russia's control over France. The boy talks about how completely different day it was in his school. So in the first paragraph you can see this I as the little Franz who says that he left for school quite late a morning and he was really scared as well, as his strict class teacher is supposed to ask him questions about participles which he didn't prepare at all. So for a moment this scary thought of getting scolded by his teacher Mr. M. Himmel made him feel like skipping the class. He was like, it's a bright sunny day, the birds are singing, soldiers are drilling, so why don't I spend some time outside and have some fun rather than going to the school? But eventually, another strong thought came in his mind and he decided to hurry off for his class. So on his way to the school, he noticed a crowd in front of this bulletin board about which he mentions that all the bad news from the last couple of years, like the battle defeats, the order of the commanding officer, had come from that board. So anyway, he kept pushing himself to reach the school quickly, but right there in the crowd, a blacksmith there named Watcher tells him to slow down a little bit as he's gonna reach school on time comfortably. Now there's a deep meaning behind what this guy said to little Franz, which you'll understand later in this chapter. But at this point, Franz thought he was making fun of him, obviously because he was in a hurry and the blacksmith was telling him to slow down a little bit. Now as he gets near his school, he notices something unusual. Unlike any other normal day, there was no bustle or loud noise of students, the opening and closing of doors or the desks. Also, no one could be heard reading anything. In short, it was a calmer atmosphere like a Sunday morning. So Franz just entered inside the school and he was able to see his classmates and his teacher Mr. M. Himmel with an iron ruler in his hand in his classroom. Then, despite hesitating, Franz was able to get inside his classroom somehow, and he was also expecting that the discipline following teacher, the very strict teacher Mr. M. Himmel, is definitely going to scold him for being late for the class. But Franz gets another surprise as M. Himmel very kindly tells him just to sit on his place. And as soon as he sits comfortably, he notices another unusual thing, which was the dress of Mr. M. Himmel. Mr. M. Himmel was wearing his beautiful green coat, a frilled shirt, and a little black silk cap. Here, the surprising thing was that he generally wears these clothes only during inspection and prize days, and it was obviously a normal day, so he was surprised. So Franz was quite strange with all these unusual things he had seen during that day till then. But the strangeness was not stopping anyway, as he sees the most surprising thing, which was that all the back benches of his class, which always used to stay empty, that day the village people like Old Hauser, former mayor, postmaster, and other people were attending the class just like normal students. Franz was just wondering about all these. Meanwhile, Mr. M. Himmel mounts his chair and says that it's going to be the last French lesson which he is going to teach. An order has come from Berlin that from now only the German language will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Mr. M. Himmel also says that a new teacher will join here from tomorrow to teach German. Now all these words by M. Himmel hit Franz straight away. He was like, oh, I haven't learned to even write French and it's going to be the last French lesson. So he was a bit emotional, and things like how he used to sick bird's egg or used to go to sliding on the Saar skipping his study time came to his mind. He also forgot the fearful side of Mr. M. Himmel and started feeling sad, thinking that it's going to be his last class and he isn't going to see him again. Then Franz finally understood the reason behind Mr. M. Himmel wearing this very special outfit and why the village people were sitting in the class. The people were actually emotional too, realizing the fact that they have never learned the French language and it's going to be the last French lesson, so they'll never be able to learn it either in future. Also, they wanted to show some respect to Mr. M. Himmel by attending his last class for the service he provided since the last 40 years. So Franz was just lost in thinking about so much, and all of a sudden he hears his name being called as it was his turn to answer questions on participles. He was supposed to answer very loudly and clearly, but as he didn't prepare, so he mixed up in the first word. He felt very scared, his heartbeat started beating, and he couldn't even look up. Then Mr. M. Hamel tells Franz that he wouldn't scold him today because he knows how bad Franz must be feeling for himself right now. Every time students like Franz told themselves that they have enough time to learn French and now they have less than 24 hours to be able to study this language. It's strange that they pretend to be Frenchmen when they can neither read nor write the French language. Now it's not that just Franz made all the mistakes in it. Mr. M. Hamel believes that Franz's parents weren't anxious enough either to let him learn. Usually they used to send Franz to work on a farm or mills to earn some money when he should have studied. Also, M. Hamel takes some blame to himself as well, as he admits the fact that there were times when he sent Franz to water his flowers instead of letting him learn his lesson, and when M. Hamel used to go for fishing, he used to give Franz a holiday. So he takes the blame as well. After all these, MML told some facts on the French language, like it's the most beautiful language in the world, it's the most logical and clearest one as well. And according to Mr. MML, the people of France should be grateful with their language, with their mother tongue, and should learn it as quickly as possible. So it was very tough for them as there were only 24 hours left. Then Mr. MML started reading a grammar lesson for the class, and everyone found it extremely easy and simple to understand as MML was reading it very loudly and clearly. It seemed like MML was literally putting his heart in his words as it was his last class here. After the grammar lesson was done, the students had a lesson on writing, and MML had brought new copies for the students in which France Alsace were written in beautiful round hand. During that writing period, everyone was so attentive and quiet that the only sound that could be heard inside the class was the sound of the pen scratching over the paper. Also, the class was too focused on their work to pay attention to some beetles that flew in. It was certainly all because of this being the last lesson. During the class, Franz was looking at MML from time to time. He saw that MML was looking at different things in the classroom very seriously as he was trying to keep a complete picture of this classroom in his mind. Both the room and classroom was pretty close to MML's heart obviously, as he had served the school for 40 years. 40 years, that's really something. MML has so much memories here with the garden outside the window and his classroom right in front. The walnut trees, which are really tall now, were planted by Mr. MML. So there were so many memories for him to feel a bit emotional about. There was a sister of MML as well who was probably packing their bags as both of them were going to leave the next day. So as this writing lesson got over, they had their history lesson, and the class could hear an old Hausa chanting ba, bi, bi, bo, boo with the babies. So these are the chants, and the Hausa also looked a bit emotional as he knew that it was the last lesson. When it was 12 in the afternoon, the class could hear the trumpets of Russians who were returning from drill. Right then, Mr. M. Hamel just stood up from his seat and wanted to say something, but he was just too sad to say anything. Then he picked up a chalk and wrote this line, Vive la France, very largely on the blackboard and very clearly as well so that everyone could see it, which means long live France. And with that, the class was just dismissed. So this was your complete chapter, and I hope I have made it clear for all of you. I mean, if you can concentrate and try to understand anything, then it's always easy. But it's alright to have some doubts and confusions, so you can ask me in the comment section, and you will have the video on all the question and answers, all the short and broad questions actually, and their answers as well in a video. So you'll get the link in the description box, and you can just tell me in the comments about the chapter on which you want me to make a video. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.